So you had with your family, yes, your in-laws yesterday. How did that go? What do you want over here? You got to sit down. You can't be on. No, you can't. You can't climb on me. Sit there. This is the way she sits on me. But she wants to climb on my chest, don't you? Yeah. No, no. You stay right there. This is the first time we're running the air conditioning this early in the day. It's really hot out. We've done really well. Hey, hi, Robin Rose and Linda. Um, Hi, Angie, Angie, Celeste. Hi. We've been these power stations. Now we forgot the one cord that came with the new All Powers to connect it to the solar panels. So we only use the All Powers. It works really well. We use the All Powers. Oh, Gracie, you're so hot. We use the All Powers when when the generator is running. It's costing us gas, so we charge up the power stations. But when I was outside on Friday, it ran solar panels all day. The AFRI did. So hi Nina, Lisa, Annie Guy, Lollipop, Donna. Hi Donna and Annie Guy. So we got the generator running, but the All Powers, you'd be amazed how little we've had to run the generator. I mean, we've run the generator to run the air conditioning to cool things off. But yesterday, I didn't run the air conditioning till after 2 in the afternoon, right? But you still have to run the generator occasionally to build up the coach batteries for, the pump. Every time you run water or use a 12-volt light, you gotta redo the batteries, right? It is hot. It is hot. I'm not getting out of the coach until it's time for me to go home. I have to drive the truck home today, so I'm not getting in and out of the coach. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to be picking beans. I've got to save my knee. Somebody, when I did my short saying, or when I did my thing saying, I got in and out of the coach on Friday like 12 times. Yes, my nose is shiny from sun. I just had a nice sponge bath. Hey, Mama Dukes. Hey, Rebecca. Well, I wish I could go out today, but it would mean getting in and out of the coach over and over again, and my knees just are starting to feel better from Friday. I did like 3 days worth of 3 track days worth of getting in and out of the coach all on Friday. Gracie, you're hot, baby. You're hot. Can you watch? She understands me. Watch. Gracie, can you get on the couch, please? Because you're really hot. You're really hot. Okay, so now we know she's ignoring me. I don't, I'll tell you something. They start those cars at 7 in the morning on a Bracket Bonanza weekend because the time trials are at 8. Packing up to move my youngest back to college. Wow, is it that? Yeah, it is August. Hey, Rebecca. Yeah, she's a baby girl. And the 2 tumors, the one on her side and the one... She's always had one on her side, a little tiny one. Someone thought it was a tick once. And then she developed one at above the base of her tail. And now I found 2 more on her thigh, but they're really small. But given her age, even if it is cancer, I don't want them messing with it because it will spread, right? Hey, Lori! My ex-husband raced. I had a hard time with all that money down the drain. The price of their toys. Well, you know what? My husband works hard. And I look at it this way, okay? Howie and I wasted so much money in our drinking years. And we used to drink. Like, Howie was a daily drinker. I binge drank on weekends. And we were heavy smokers. Cigarette smokers. So, when we quit smoking and drinking, yeah, we ended up going bankrupt when we were 7 years sober. You get a particular way of talking at the racetrack. There's these long pauses while cars go by, and then you resume your conversation. Um, got my leg wraps on Friday. It feels so good. What are leg wraps? What are leg wraps? But the way I look at it is we went bankrupt in 2005 because of our drinking and smoking and you know, trying to buy too many houses at once and all this stuff. So when we were 7 years sober, we went bankrupt, and it's been a long haul getting back here. But our bills are paid, right? We pay our bills on time. Occasionally there's, you know, a mix up, but we pay our bills on time, and we don't smoke and we don't drink, right? Yeah, 33 years, Nina. Good for you. I actually had some people joking, you know, they were sitting having beers, and one was drinking vodka and Coke. Lymphedema. Oh, wow. Oh, I'm so glad you got the wraps. I'm so glad. That's a lot to carry around. It really is. I'm really glad to hear that, honey. My hand is prisoner to the dog. So anyway, we never got the one little tumor. It's about the size of a small pea. Looked at, but now she's developed like 3 more just since the winter. But she's 7, and boxers supposedly live between 7 and 10 is their average age. And I've always been afraid that if they take a biopsy, it's just going to be really bad. She never seems to have a problem. Harvesting potatoes. Hey, Pammy. My insurance paid for the machine, too, to pump twice a day. Wow. Wow, that's a lot. So, I haven't picked any beans yet. God only knows what my garden looks like. But 30, good for you, Terry. We were 26 years in June. But, hey, Becky. I didn't know you had lymphedema, honey. Is it, once you get it under control, is it, because I've seen some really bad cases, but, if somebody could just wrap my belly. I have venous status ulcers on my legs. I went keto, cut my carbs, and so far no more progression of the ulcers and much less edema. Okay. Well, when I left, like, I saw 1 or 2 beans, but I didn't really look very deep. But everything was mostly in blossom. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be pulling zucchini and beans tomorrow. It's for life. Car accident wrecked my lymph system. Oh my God. Work hard, play hard. Absolutely. That was my point. As long as our bills are paid at this point. Now, I am trying to get us out of debt. Like, not when I say out of debt, I mean pay off our mortgage and our loans. Our vehicles will be paid off in 2 years. This motor home won't be paid off for another 6 or 7 years. And our mortgage is down to less than half the house is worth. So, and our mortgage is locked in at 2.9 for another, as of March, it was locked in for another 2 years. So, at 2.9. So, we hope the bank rates will go down by the time we have to rework our mortgage. But, I don't know what I was saying. I'm still not quite awake. I don't sleep well here. I really don't. I slept pretty good last night, but I'm up most of the night tossing and turning and trying to get comfortable because I'm used to sleeping in my own bed. And between Howie and Gracie and I in one queen size bed, it's quite the circus. Oh God, yes. It's connectedheartsfamily@gmail.com. Connected Hearts Family or Mrs. Wolfie at gmail.com, but that one gets a lot of spam, so Connected Hearts Family at gmail.com. I've had mine since 20s. Glad there's nothing that can be done. There's something that can be done. Yeah. Ow, my neck does not want to turn that way. That's why this is over here. Don't move, Gracie. It's a really hot tea. Oh, she's going over the couch. All right. There you go, baby. You comfy? That's her couch. So, you won't be getting a video tomorrow. I may do a tea break when I get home for tomorrow. I may do a tea break when I get home, just to keep you up, just to tell you what's going to be happening in the garden and stuff. I have no idea. I know I had some small zucchinis when I left. I bet you they're like this now. And I think I'll be canning beans a lot this week. But this has been basically a vacation for me, right? It's like I'm not at home worrying about gardens and stuff like that, which I feel like I should be. I'm starting to get anxious now. Thank you, Linda. And so when I didn't want, like, we bought this motorhome because when we traveled to Florida with Nan, it was a nightmare. There was, privacy issues and bathroom issues and meal issues and all that stuff, right? So but we haven't taken it to Florida yet, right? COVID happened and all that stuff. Gracie, please don't clean yourself like that right now. I love this. So Howie's made it through first round. I'm all over the place. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. But I will be going home today. Depends on how late the races run, whether Howie will come home tonight or not. But I really hope he does, because I'm pretty sure my garden... Hey, Raph! How are you, darling? I'm pretty sure Howie's going to have to whippersnip around the garden beds so that I can get in them. I may even have a watermelon. I have no idea. I know that Friday night we got a tornado warning. Thursday night we got a tornado warning. And as we were through Brennan's Hill on our way out on Thursday, the power was out in Brennan's Hill, which means it was probably out at my place too. That's a wine glass rack. This is the first I've noticed that white wire. It's a wine glass. How's your garden doing, Raph? Like, mine's been mostly foliage and hardly any fruit, except for the cabbage. I did a good job on the cabbage, but my tomatoes are all green. I had one lightly orange tomato, and I thought, I'll pick that, and maybe it'll ripen. And I grabbed it and picked it, but there was a split in one side of it that I hadn't seen, so who knows? Who knows? My knees don't like the air conditioning, but I don't have much choice right now. Because it's really, really hot out. Yeah, your tomatoes are still green too? Hey, Donna. Oh, you're saying good morning to Raph. So how's Ron today, Raph? So, back to when we went bankrupt, we worked really hard. And we bought our house up in where we live now 2 years out of bankruptcy. That cost 50% down, but the house at the time, we got it for $33,000. It's now worth, well, the last time we had it checked, it was worth $140,000. So we got hell. Extreme wind broke huge branches of a few of my old trees. My garden is doing so-so this year, but getting beautiful eggplant. Everything else, it was not so great. Well, you know what? You think about this. The amount of chemicals and heavy metals and stuff that they spray for chemtrails, it's got to land somewhere, right? It's getting to the point where you can't pH your garden properly because they keep putting this shit in the air that comes down on our it's poisoning our land, it's poisoning our air, it's poisoning our water, right? and people don't realize, you know, we've been way too accepting for too long. Awesome. Maybe try to lay a sock or washcloth over each of your knees while the rest of you cool. Well, I mean, I'm sitting in a chair. It's not too bad. Hey, Brazen, how are you, darling? I wonder how low was, because when we left, it was getting ready to storm, but it hadn't stormed yet. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going home to. That could be, I know one thing's for sure. If I get home and there's a problem and Howie's planning on staying here tonight, he'd be getting a phone call saying, no, you gotta come home. Oh, my herbs are doing great. Mine are in a jungle. The tomato plants took over everything. I know about the chemtrails. Lots of people I know who are gardening are having the same issue, and the weather from one extreme to another didn't help. Well, there was also the fires too, eh? Bees get stupid in smoke. So, and we had I don't know, a week of kind of, yeah, they don't want us to grow our own food, of course. Did you hear about the ticks? Somebody sent me a thing on a new tick that's coming into Canada, US, and Mexico called the Lone Star tick. And apparently it causes allergies in the meat. I'll send it to you, I think. But she said, oh, no, something else we got to worry about. I said, they just don't want us hunting, right? But somebody else said that there's video footage of guys in hazmat suits getting out of a helicopter, dumping canisters of millions and millions of bugs, and then getting back still in their hazmat suits and flying away in the helicopter. So, I mean, yeah, so I mean, I'm looking at this going, is there anything, how did it get to this point where we just allow everything to happen? I'm not talking, revolution or anything, but folks, our governments right now in North America are a joke, right? Everybody's supposed to feel sorry for Justin Trudeau that his wife separated from him. Excuse me? She wanted to separate from him 3 years ago, but I'm pretty sure he begged her to stay, to give a unified front for the country and all that crap. Smartest thing Sophie could have done was leave that idiot teacher, I mean, that minor attracted person. Hang on. I can't, well, they're now saying it's coming into Canada and Mexico. Does anybody know what it does? But the thing is, right? We don't have to have a revolution. We don't have to have a revolution to say, no, we're done with this. Native lady I met at the market last Friday told me that she met these scientists that were up in the Cree territories, mentioned they were studying the fact that there was ticks on the moose. Does anybody know what the Lone Star tick is supposed to do? Is some AGS allergy or something? In Caribous, I told her there are no ticks up there. They're not even up at my place. Brother-in-law, major issues with liver, joint pain, fever. Oh, really? Well, that could be from the regular ticks, right? That could be, what is it you get from ticks? Is it not Lyme's disease? It's not curable. Oh my God. Well, Lyme disease is one thing, but that's something completely different with the Lone Star tick. But for all I know, I've got Lyme's disease. I'm so crippled. It was Lone Star for both. Oh my God. Huh. Well, the truth is, folks, hey, Potato Head, we just got to start saying no. It's like when, wow, it's getting hot in here even with the air on. Um, it's like our township. They put out this thing, oh, you can't keep the municipal bylaw, you can't keep chickens unless you have 5 acres. Bull crap. Bull crap. I have on our it's like 0.01 less than a full acre. And we've raised pigs, goats, a steer, turkeys, geese, ducks, chickens, laying hens, rabbits. We've raised everything on that. It's never affected our well. Have I considered CBD oil for my knees? Hey, Jessica, how are you, darling? My ears are bothering me because in the morning I found a couple of those earplugs that you can fit, but my ears don't like things being put in them. So, my baby. My baby. She's snoozing away. Taking pictures. I could have it and don't even know it, right? I seem to remember getting a bug bite once a long time ago that had a ring around it. But I don't. How do you even get tested? Like, how would you even know? Right? Maybe I've got Lyme's and not fibromyalgia, but apparently everything else works great. So, of course she's pooped out. And she's been a really good girl. She has been, kids have run by and she's been really my husband wants to know what you put in your coffee. Not today. I don't put anything in my coffee, but in my tea at nighttime, I put canna milk. And how I make it is, if you've got a coffee press, a French coffee press, you can make it. But what I do is I have, she is kind of a service dog for me. But you decarb your cannabis, you decarb it, then you put it in a bowl and you add milk, lots of milk, depending on how strong you want it. And then you put that stainless bowl over a pot of water and you just turn the water on simmer, very, very low. And just stir your milk and weed every once in a while and let it heat slowly or in a double boiler for a few hours. And then you either strain it or I put it in the French coffee press and it presses all the milk out. My milk comes out a kind of a taupe color. I know, Potato Head. If Justin Trudeau's wife can get rid of him, why can't we? I agree. I agree. There is just so much corruption, right? I mean, and everyone's like, I'm going to vote NDP for Jagmeet Singh because he's never had a chance. Excuse me? He's the reason Trudeau is still making decisions. Because he backed Trudeau. He backs Trudeau on the Parliament floor. So anything Trudeau wants between, the Liberal Party, if the NDP backs them, that's 2/3 of the House. Right? Our high school band was practicing last night at 8 p.m. The complaints were crazy. These kids are amazing and not out causing trouble. Be happy, but everyone has to be a critic. Well, that's the problem. What I've been using for pain that has been helping me is Feverview tincture that I make. Oh, good. There should be divorce papers. Yeah. I want a divorce from my... well, you don't want to drink that milk. That's what I put in my tea. Right? It depends on how, and it tastes nasty. It's the only time I put sugar in my tea is when I'm drinking that on a Friday night or Thursday night or whatever, like evenings. Like I have I'd show it to you, but it's in the fridge. It's the color. It's almost a khaki color. There should be. There should be. We should be able to say, like the mere fact that everywhere Trudeau goes, they have to hold back. They only let so many people who are, supportive of him close to him so that he can make his little speech and all these people can stand there and do this. But about 10 yards, 20 yards back, they've got a roped off section where everybody's going, "You traitor, boo-hiss, get out of the country. You don't give a crap about Canadian." They're just everywhere he goes. He is being booed and hissed and called a traitor. I'm sorry. Everywhere he goes, there are more people booing and hissing and calling him a traitor than there are people supporting him. So why is he still in government? I don't know. I saw this really good thing on Facebook. Yeah, we need the common sense party. Absolutely. Hey, Jules. I read this thing where, just bear with me. Yeah, I know, Mr. Jadahead. A woman says to her son, you're going to marry who I choose. And he says, no. She said, it's Bill Gates' daughter. Now, this is a parable, guys. And he goes, oh, okay. So she goes to Bill Gates and says, your daughter is going to marry my son. And he said, no. And she said, my son is the head of the central banking system for North America. And he goes, oh, okay. And then she goes, where does she go now? She goes to the head of the central banking system and says, you need to hire my son as the CEO of the central banking system for North America. And he said, no. And she said, but my son is Bill Gates' son-in-law. So the CEO says, okay, the guy says, okay. And then she goes to I forget where it was, the World Economic Forum or whatever, and says, you need to set up my son in whatever. And they go, no. And they go, well, he's Bill Gates' he's Bill Gates' son-in-law, and he's the CEO of the World Banking System. And they go, okay. That's how politics works. You borrow, the son said no until he found out it was Bill Gates' daughter. Bill Gates said no until he found out that he was the CEO of the World Banking System, and the World Banking System said no until he, and it goes on. They tell you what they are going to be and let you think that that's what they are. That's politics, right? I mean, we had a chat out here yesterday, and I said I voted for Trudeau, right? Because he was like, he said all the right things. The people, making sure that the people are protected from corporations who want to use the people for their own ends, and to protect the people from bent politicians and all this shit. And we were like, yeah, and he got in. And then he turned around and broke every promise he made. Every single promise he made, he broke. Why is he still in office? Why is Biden still in office in light of... Everyone says, oh, I've heard people say, oh, he's brilliant. He's been in politics his entire adult life. I said, then why is he a billionaire? Right? Politicians don't make that kind of money. Right? Exactly. Get rid of the career politician. I mean, by 2024, I'm pretty sure that they're they're trying to indict Trump so that they can say he can't He can't run for president because he has a criminal record. I don't know if that's a law in the United States or not, but PESB, PESB. But as soon as I saw what Trudeau was doing in the second election, I voted him out, and he was like 32% of the vote. But now it's a minority government, and the other two governments. This is the way it works in Canada. We have the three main governments, four governments in Parliament. We've got the Bloc. We've got the Liberals, the NDP, the Conservatives, and the Bloc Québécois. They all have seats. Okay. The problem is there's this one section in Toronto that's liberal that carries the most seats, and I think that should be broken up into sections, because all you have to do is get that one particular area and you're in. But now having 32% of the vote, right, and pretty much the NDP and the Conservatives in that were pretty close, but he got the majority of the minority vote. When the NDP crossed the floor to unofficially stand by the Liberal Party, meant that every time Justin Trudeau wanted to do something, as long as the NDP supported it, it would pass. And the NDP made that decision so that they could get their dental stuff put through and all this stuff. Like we need dental plans for children when the elderly's teeth are falling out, right? But the thing is if it wasn't for the NDP, Justin Trudeau wouldn't have the power he does. So why would you vote for the NDP? Right? Because Trudeau is a slimeball. And in the second election, they made it look like Sophie and Trudeau were all happy and everything as a family, but they weren't. I mean, I think she's leaving them now because, let's put it this way, I'm pretty sure he begged her to just keep a united front through the times we were going through, but now everybody, everywhere he goes, he's called a criminal. He's called a traitor to the people. He doesn't give a crap about Canadians. And so I think she finally said to him, you know what? Us presenting a united front as a family is not going to do you any good. Bye-bye. I did my, good for you, Sophie. Good for you. I wouldn't be surprised if Christine Freelander or whatever it is. Oh, yeah, they are. Hey, you bent bastard. How are you, darling? So, hey, Tina. So I don't mean to talk about politics, but the thing is, as we've talked about this before, and you're gonna get a mixture of things going on our half-acre homestead that normally would be on Life with the Wolfies, but Life with the Wolfies got a strike for me talking about the jab and why I didn't take it, and my opinion on the transgender ideology, and I got a strike for medical misinformation because I said there are XX chromosomes and there's XY chromosomes, and in a very rare occurrence is an XXY chromosome, which is hermaphrodite. That's the exception rather than the rule. So I got a strike for all of that stuff, so I can't talk about that, right? But I can't go, yes, Linda dear, I can't go live on Rumble yet. Like, I have a button on my phone. See, you need third-party software, which would be fine if I had a webcam that worked with my piece of crap computer. Last specialist doctor I went to think that my J&J caused my sepsis and endocrinitis caused me to die. You mean almost die, because obviously you didn't die. You're talking to us. So, Rumble, like if I go Rumble, I don't have I have lots of webcams, but they aren't recognized by my computer because I need a new computer. I also need a new camera. But, so I can't use the third-party software on Rumble because I don't have a webcam that works with my computer. I can't do it on my phone. But there's this camera button on my phone with Rumble. Like on my Rumble account, and I press it and it says, oh, this isn't working yet, but we got exciting things coming. So it's like I'm really hoping I'm going to be able to go live on Rumble, because that's where I can really talk about the things that matter, right? My neck will not turn. So, but we can get angry. I was talking about this the other day. We can get angry all we want, but what does that help? Like, yes, there's a certain amount of anger that needs to stir people. There's a balance, right? You know, there's a certain amount of anger we have to face with the injustices going on in the world. You know, sex trafficking, bent politicians, you know, all these things that are going on in the world, I really can't talk about. But the anger needs to come from a place of working in solution. Right? Like, you can't just sit here and rail against your fate and rail against what's going on in the world. You got to talk about it. You got to do something. People got to show that. But the thing is you got to keep your anger in check, because that's negativity. And what does negativity do? It feeds negativity. Right? So think of negativity as like a snowball. Right? And you roll that snowball down a really steep hill. And it gathers negativity as it goes, as more people agree and more people go, yeah, 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 yeah. And when it gets to the bottom, you've got a riot. So somewhere along the way, we have to control the roll of the snowball. And say, okay, let's stop it here and think about how big this is getting. Maybe we should chip some of the negativity off. We have to learn the balance between anger and what we need to do about it with a loving heart. I know I keep saying this, it's really, really hard to pray for someone like Just Inflation Turdo. And I am going to pray for him. May God bless him and keep him far away from us. Right? It's really difficult to pray for people you can't stand, but those are the ones we have to pray for. Those are the ones we have to say, you know what, you're a really sick person, and I will pray for you, because nobody in their right mind could treat their own country and the people of their country this way. You know, you know, you're just not well. You're just not here for us. So, you know, I wish you all in good health, but get the hell out of my country, or go live in China, where they will probably bow to you. No, they won't. The thing is he's spending billions and billions of dollars on false narratives. That's all I'm going to say. Billions and billions of dollars on false narratives, but he keeps jacking up Canadians' taxes to pay for all of this stuff. Where's the clean water for our Indigenous people? Right? These are the people who own the land. Our Indigenous peoples are the original owners of this land. And yet they're stuffed on reservations, and you know, they can't drink the water and all kinds of stuff. And it's like look at all the broken promises. Protecting Canadians, protecting Indigenous peoples, righting their water supplies. And yet, the next thing you know, he's talking about excessive nationalism and excessive populism. Does anybody know what I mean when I say nationalism and populism? Populism is politicians who are for the people. They're for the populace. They're for the people who live in the country, and their needs should come first. Excessive, and he's saying it's excessive, and excessive nationalism, he calls it. People are supporting excessive. What's nationalism? My country comes first. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with putting the needs of the Canadian people before China, before the Ukraine, before the Saudis, before everything else? But it seems to be Trudeau is trying to buy popularity. It's almost like most of the world leaders who have heads on their shoulders, to a certain degree, he's like trying to buy his way back into the popular crowd with the world leaders, and they're taking his money and just saying no. You know, why would anybody trust anybody that would turn on his own people? So I wish, if Jagmeet Singh, if you ever see this, you need to dump his butt and start talking to the Conservative Party. Because even though I can't, like, people say, oh, but you're a liberal. It's like, no, I've never been anything but what I thought was best for my country whenever it came to voting time. I wasn't staunch anything until this, right? Until I was filled so full of hope in 20 when did he get in? 2015. I was so full of hope when he first campaigned across Canada, you know, and it broke my heart. It broke my heart, especially with the convoy. It broke my heart that he could have solved that problem before it even got to Ottawa, and then he let it boil and he let it simmer until he had to enact the Emergencies Act. Yeah, break up the people that are have bouncy castles and are putting on breakfast for the homeless and all that stuff, you know, and yeah, there was a everybody say, oh, it wasn't a peaceful protest, the horns were blaring. That's not. If you think that is an unpeaceful protest, then you don't know what the word protest means. Peaceful protest was exactly what was happening. We came, we sat, and we sang, and we shared, right? The kids had bouncy castles, and there was, I mean, you know, how long did that go on? A couple of weeks? You try and let that happen. The only violence happened is when Trudeau enacted the Emergencies Act. That's when the violence started. That's when brute forces from up near Quebec City, you know, these guys aren't police, they're not army, they're not anything, they're hired thugs, came in and riding people down with horses and shooting people with rubber bullets and freezing people's bank accounts for supporting the protest. That sounds like fascism to me. That sounds like communism to me, doesn't it? But he could have fixed it, before it even got there, but he didn't want to. Why? So that he could invoke the Emergencies Act. And it still wasn't as bad. It wasn't necessarily necessary at that point, but people were starting to get pissed off. In any other country, how long would that have protest to have stayed nonviolent? Any other country? Right? And he had the balls to say, I support a lot of you know, protests and stuff that I agree with. Black Lives Matter is for one, and it's like, so you supported the riots. He tried by not speaking to the convoy. He tried to create a riot so that he could enforce the Emergencies Act. But we stayed peaceful right up until they decided, oh, they made up all these, you know, they even lied. They said, oh, the police told us that, you know, the law enforcement advised us to do the Emergencies Act, and the law enforcement's coming out now and saying, no, we didn't. No, we didn't. Lies and lies and lies and more lies. When are we going to put a stop to it? So, watch me get a strike on this channel. So if you don't see me tomorrow on our half-acre homestead, it's because YouTube has decided that the freedom of speech, which they've already decided, is not allowed here. So, but I work my garden and I pray and I try and lift people up. Because anger and jealousy, have you ever noticed that in reality, humans aren't an angry people? We're really not. Don't look at today, okay? We, as humans, are very social creatures when left alone. We work shit out all the time with our neighbors and our locals and stuff. It's when the government gets involved that the division starts between people. And once that division gets started and it gets prodded, there's nothing a politician likes better than to see unrest in a country so that they can come forward and promise a solution. We were doing fine before Trudeau got in. We were doing fine. Now it's a big mess, right? And this, and as far as central banking or central digital currency goes, folks, that is the handcuffs that will bind us for the rest of our lives if we allow that to happen. We cannot allow a central digital currency, because that means, look at how they froze bank accounts. They used the Emergency Act to freeze bank accounts. What happens when I'm talking like this? I could have, if the central banking digital currency comes in, just me talking like this could have all my bank accounts frozen. I could lose my identity. They could just say you don't exist, and they flip a switch, and I lose everything because I have no access to my own money. It's like PayPal. I went to PayPal. I got paid for my 4 jars bonuses and my 4 jars affiliate, and I went to switch it over to my bank, and PayPal withheld some of it. And it says, oh, it's because, there's a cap on this, and over the last 30 days, you've brought in too much money that we have to cap it. It's like, no, you don't. I sent them a message. It took me an hour to figure out how to do that. And I said, you have no right whatsoever to tell me what I can and cannot do with my money. You're just the vessel. You're not. You don't have a right to tell me or to put a pause on my income that's coming in through PayPal. I said, you have no right to tell me what I can and cannot do with my money. You have no right to withhold my income that I pay taxes on, that I claim every year and I pay taxes on, because I go through my PayPal, and anything I've earned that's been paid through PayPal, like Patreon, like 4 jars, I claim that. Trust me, I got an $8,000 tax bill, right? So I emailed them. I texted them and said, you need to release my money. I'm finding another place to handle my money, because you have no right to do this. Next thing you know, they're releasing my funds. It's like, but I mean, no. They will only do that if we allow it, right? PayPal's gotten too big for its boots. Too big for its boots. So I have to, people are saying Venmo and stuff. I have to look that up, but I have to make sure that this isn't going to be allowed to happen again. I do have to email, get in touch with the 4 jars people and say, you're going to have to email money transfer me it from now on, because I'm not dealing with PayPal anymore. That's all. Electronic transfer. Because, you know, when you deal with a third party, right? When you deal with a third party banking system like PayPal, they get cut. You don't think they do this for? They don't do this for charity, right? I'm tired. I'm in pain. Is it obvious I'm cranky? But the truth is we have to start standing up for ourselves, and we have to start praying for those fools. Oh, let's sing a song for Trudeau. Day after day. And I was going to change the words for this, but I thought they fit so well. Day after day, alone on a hill, the man with the foolish grin is keeping perfectly still. And nobody wants to know him. They can see that he's just a fool. And he never gives an answer, 'cause the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, and the eyes in his head see the world spinning round. Anyway, I'll probably do a tea break for tomorrow once I get home and find out what condition my garden's in, and God only knows what condition my yard is in if we got hit with that tornado that we left behind as we were. It followed us though, apparently. Anyway, folks, please, please, when it does the world no good for us to call people names. So Justin Trudeau, I don't like you, but I can love you as a human being. As a very so God, please look after Justin Trudeau. Look after his heart, look after his soul. And if you can't do that, we're going to give him to you. And if you can't do that, then please just remove him from our presence, from our country. He does not like us. He doesn't care what happens. He only cares about what he can get. He was raised his whole life thinking that he was going to be a world leader, and he just sat on that and actually didn't do anything to become a world leader other than run. And now he's running away with our country. So God, please, please, if you can't straighten him out, get him out, okay? And I say that with all the love in my heart, that we as a people we don't need a better leader. We need, our whole political system has to be torn down and built from the ground up, from the people up, okay? We need a system in place that is not this male-centered oligarchy. You know what I mean? We need a circle of grandmothers from all over the world. Not the United Nations, not NATO, not the World Economic Forum, not the CDC, not the WHO. We need a circle of grandmothers from around the world who know how to make decisions filtered through love. Love for the people. Love for the country, right? Love for the planet. I mean, I just saw an electric car that the battery caught on fire. It took 1,600 gallons of water, and they still couldn't put it out. So what they ended up doing was they dug a hole, filled it with water, and pushed the car in it. That's more pollution than my Dodge truck has ever put out. And the pollution created mining the materials for those batteries is like 60 to 75% more than itself will save. So going electric is not the answer unless you're talking wind generators and solar panels, not electric batteries. Okay? Batteries got to come from somewhere, and they got to be charged somewhere. Right? Stop polluting our skies with chemtrails and our water and our soil. Stop polluting our animals with chemicals and chemical feeds and what do you call it? Genetically modified feed. We need to go back to a simpler way of life. And we don't have to be Little House on the Prairie to go back to that simple way of life. We just have to make the right decisions, because obviously the government's not making the right decisions for us. Right? And when did they stop working for us? When they got too big to be told what to do by us. Right? This is the Mrs. Volpe from Our Half Acre Homestead saying, filter your decisions through love. What's best for everybody. Okay? And try and keep your anger at bay, because it makes it really hard to make common sense decisions when you're inflamed with anger. All right? Take care. God bless. Here's hoping that I don't get a strike. But if the bitch factory's here, they're probably going to do a lot of complaining. So who knows? Right? I love you. Care. God bless. Look for a tea break for tomorrow to tell you what how my house and garden fared while I was away. And canning season is upon us. I'm hoping I will be picking a lot of beans tomorrow. All right? Mwah. Take care. God bless.